President Joe Biden says he won't do a joint press conference with Vladimir Putin of Russia because he doesn't want to legitimize Putin. Yeah, that's it.
Joe Biden, he's the man with the Biden touch, a creepy touch.
In a statement from the White House stating that President Joe Biden will only deal with, quote, the free press, he is refusing to go side by side at a joint press conference with Vladimir Putin of Russia. Now, the two are scheduled to meet on Wednesday face to face, and can anyone see how this might potentially not be good optics for the free world?
Vladimir Putin laughed at the suggestion that you had called him a killer. Is that still your belief, sir, that he is a killer? And I'll continue the trend if you don't mind of asking a second question. Do you believe if he does agree to cooperate, then what kind of a challenge do you find yourself in? How would you ever trust him? And if Ronald Reagan said trust but verify, what do you say to Vladimir Putin?
To answer the first question, I'm laughing too. They actually, well, look, I mean, he has made clear that
I seem to recall that for 4 years, we had a constant barrage from the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media questioning the mental capacity, the mental acuity, the mental fitness of President Donald Trump. Here we have a so-called commander-in-chief, which it's very obvious he is not in complete control of his mental faculties. He's just not. He is diminished because of age. There is little doubt that there are some real mental acuity problems happening here. He is having a hard time putting a complete thought together, and these long pauses. We won't even talk about his gaffes and his misspeaks. These long pauses where you can tell it's literally, forgive me for saying it this way, a brain freeze, a brain fart. He doesn't have that acuity to be able to snap off and confidently give an answer. Even if it's a wrong answer, he hasn't got the capability. Now, isn't it something how we get it when we're watching fictionalized accounts in movies and TV shows that a leader must be mentally sharp, elsewise his enemies will think he's weak. I have been binge watching, like a lot of you have, binge watching a lot of things that normally I wouldn't watch, but, well, when things are closed, you can't go anywhere. Even though things are opening up now, which is great, I have gotten kind of in the habit of an evening binge watch where, I have my evening coffee, a fine cigar, and I binge watch something. And I have been binge watching off and on this program on Netflix called Reign. And it's one of those medieval dramas, and, it's a fictionalized account of the royal court of France and the alliances with Scotland and the attempted takedown of England. And in this portrayal, we have the King of France really losing his mental capacity. He is mad, the Mad King. And the Queen and his son, the Prince, are constantly trying to hide him from the affairs of state, not wanting world leaders to see how mentally diminished the king is. Why? Because that would be an open invitation for the enemies of France to think, this is it. This is where we get to take the country, take the throne, take the crown. But yet, here in the U.S., we take our mentally deficient and we send him out on a world tour. And there's little doubt that a lot of this has to do with the fact that Camilla thinks she's a hottie Harris did so poorly in Central America, they wanted another narrative, anything but how badly she did in going south of the border to explain to the president of Mexico and Guatemala that they want to deal with the root cause of the surge on the border. Really. Really simple. If my wife and I came home and our door was open and there were a bunch of stray dogs in our house just tearing the place apart, defecating everywhere, getting in the garbage, the trash, having it strewn all over the house, and my wife looked at me and said, "Deal with this," somehow I don't think she would be reassured that I was dealing with it by going to the neighbors, the Bumpuses, and saying, "Hey, you want to come over here and call your dogs and make sure that you feed them properly because the root cause of them coming into my house is they're looking for food." That isn't what my wife would want me to do. Go next door and say, "Hey, I'll be back in a little while after I talk old man Bumpus into coming over and getting his hound dogs." No. What you would expect me to do is, at that moment, go in the house, get the dogs out of there, and then close the door so that they can't come back in. Shazam, Batman. And so when Camilla thinks she's a hottie Harris gets asked, "Hey, what are you going to do about the border?" And she stumbles and fumbles and says, "Well, I haven't been to Europe either, so why do I have to go to our border?" Because you were put in charge of the crisis. And the president of Guatemala says the reason there's a surge on the U.S. border and the reason people are being killed and the reason that the cartels are pimping out children and engaging in human trafficking and using them as human mules to carry their drugs across is because, hey, the Biden administration has basically said Santa Claus is back on the throne and there's freebies and giveaways. And the president of Guatemala, before the world press, said, "Stop giving things away so that these people put themselves in harm's way to get there." Boom! I mean, she was absolutely slammed by everyone. And it became a painful reminder, I think, even to the Democratic Party of this is why this woman couldn't get anywhere and was the first Democratic candidate to drop out of the race to be the Democratic nominee. But see, they wanted the optic of a female, woman of color, being the first VP. And in actuality, what they've done is they've triggered something in the psyche and the subconscious of a lot of people basically saying, "Yeah, but couldn't we have somebody who was actually competent to do the job?" And so Biden wanting to prove that he's the guy to take on Trump because, we're still talking about the Russian collusion hogwash nonsense and he can kill the legacy of Trump by showing that he can stand up to Putin, isn't anywhere near having the mental acuity or capability of standing up to Russia.
Reagan said, "Trust but verify." What do you say to Vladimir Putin?
To answer the first question, I'm laughing too. Well, look, I mean, he has made clear that the answer is, I believe he is in the past essentially.
Oh, sorry. You did, and we're out of time.
Yeah, this is the guy that's going to put Putin in his place. Give me a break. Hey, that's it for this rant. Thank you so much for watching. Give us a thumbs up and a like. Make sure you smack the bell, click the word all to get notification of my next rant, and share this video to your social media platforms. Help us get the word out because we know YouTube isn't.